The JREF have closed their LA offices and unceremoniously announced the departure of DJ Grothy. Well, that's sure... I gotta be honest, I'm not sure if that does suck or if that's really good news. I mean, from a personal standpoint, it sucks, since the JREF is no longer up the street for me, and I always liked DJ. On the few occasions I actually worked with him in the JREF, he treated me very well and got me paid in a timely manner. I know that is not everyone's experience with him in the JREF. I know in explicit detail that this was not everyone's experience with him, but it was mine. With the exception of the last production we had planned that I invested a few $100s in, but that's nobody's fault. Jennifer Michael Heck's flight was canceled, and that's just the risk you take as an independent contractor, who didn't ask for any money up front, because he assumed that the JREF offices would still be there in the fall. C'est la vie. Now, as I said, I don't know whether this is good news or bad news. I, like every other skeptic I imagine, even have some inside info, and I still couldn't tell you whether or not this is a good or bad sign because, allow me to play the skeptic card here, despite even a reliable rumor mill, there's just not enough info to go on. And anyone putting out blogs announcing that DJ's departure is a good or bad thing are just sucking on the cock of clickbait. In fact, I think the biggest source of derision over the JREF's announcement was its minimalistic tone, which came off as cold, callous, and even shady. Especially the part about DJ Grothy no longer being with the JREF. I think Shane Brady said it best. Rarely, though, do you see such a classless announcement. I mean, seriously, in our lifetimes, we have seen some pretty heinous, even villainous leaders, presidents, CEOs, VPs, etc., get the boot, and 9 times out of 10, it still has at least the facade of grace and respect. So you've basically run this company into the ground, you've used our finances as your own personal piggy bank, and you've managed to sexually assault every secretary you've had. So we're just gonna have to move into a different direction next quarter, but we wish you all the best of luck in all your future endeavors. Oh, here's your severance. What was the JREF thinking? Well, I'm not sure, but my best guess would be that they were, ironically, trying to avoid any controversy and just making the most simplistic announcement possible so as not to cause any drama. It's sort of like, well, see, his family has very diverse religious backgrounds, so I think the best solution is not to have any funeral. That way no one gets offended. We'll just chuck him in the bin. That being said, I disagree with Shane and others when it comes to making a decision like not going back to TAM, for instance. I mean, we still don't really know what's going on. Maybe they offered him the job in Virginia and he said, fuck that. Maybe they offered him the job in Virginia knowing that he would say, fuck that. Maybe he is about to announce moving to a different company. I'm sure even DJ, Randy, and other involved parties are shaky on the details. I mean, think about your last ex. Can you say with any certainty whose fault it was, when the problem began, how long you knew it was over? It's rarely as cut and dry as, oh, I don't know, my ex became an alcoholic who cheated on me with a 21-year-old busboy. Life just isn't that black and white. So who the hell knows? Maybe some of you watching do, I don't. What I do know that perhaps none of you know is that the former offices of the JREF are currently being turned into a salon. That's not ironic or coincidental, it's just kind of sad. I'm pretty sure that Hollywood could use another location for critical thinking. Not sure if we need another salon. I spent quite a few days filming, editing, and doing pre-production in those offices. That's where Ray Hyman gave a 3-day, 10-hour lecture that I filmed. Keep in mind, I just filmed it. The audio was allegedly being handled by Brian Thompson, the producer of the Amateur Scientist Podcast Network. You'd think he could handle miking one professor.
I want you to think bend, bend, bend.
I tried to fix it.
I want you to think bend, bend, bend.
But as Ray Hyman would say,
garbage in, garbage out, right?
This is where DJ used to have his office. I'm gonna miss having such immediate access to a foundation I have known and loved for many years. I'm hoping that there are good things to come from the JREF, but downsizing is rarely a sign of progress. And while this is happening, our own Skeptoid is going to prison, half of the Los Angeles Independent Investigation Group quit this month, the CFI's art exhibit is a shrine to the very worst moments of online skepticism, and I still haven't met another person who has watched all 3 episodes of Bad Universe. What is happening to this community? Okay, silver lining. Because there is one, and it's gonna be huge. The way I see it, one or both of 2 things will happen. 1, the old organizations will reap what they have sowed, which will leave the market of skepticism wide open for new groups that have, hopefully, been paying attention to all the fuck-ups that have gone down. And or 2, everybody loves a comeback. Why go with something new when we can just have a sequel of the original, am I right? I honestly believe that Brian Dunning, for example, is gonna re-enter the free world like Martha fucking Stewart, Robert Downey Jr., Mike Tyson. Actually, forget that last one. I think most new groups will have a better perspective and more realistic goals. Look, I'm not saying that we can only go up from here. Those will be really disgusting words to have to digest when the next beloved skeptic ends up in a scandal. My money is on Ross Blocher being a cannibal. I'm saying that things are generally getting better. Of course, maybe my perspective is out of whack because I have a lot of exciting upcoming projects and I'm with a woman who makes most rock stars look boring. So if that's the case, my advice is to get your own wacky perspective. Start your own exciting projects or support the ones you're excited about. I know that's kind of trite, but sometimes the most valid answer to our darkest moments is gumption. Cheers.
Such a trial. I've never seen you crying. I feel it's not worth trying because my time will run out.
Yes, I read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance and I liked it. Fuck you for judging me.